Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, ESPN covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can catch her on Get Up. This just in with Max Kellerman as well on Friday. It's Brooke Pryor, who is outside of the practice facility in Pittsburgh right now where it's super, super rainy. She has an umbrella. Brooke, what are you doing?
I'm braving the elements for you guys. I'm showing up. I'm fighting through adversity. I'm doing what I can because the team is in the indoor facility right behind me practicing for Sunday's game because they don't want to practice outside in the rain. It's not supposed to rain in Charlotte on Sunday. That would do them no good.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't do them any good. I don't really want Pittsburgh to do anything good because I want the Carolina Panthers to keep winning. I want them to win the NFC South.
It's not out of the realm of possibility because the NFC South is, terrible?
Mm-hmm.
Literally no one should win in that. They should have to forfeit their playoff spot to an NFC wildcard team or even an AFC wildcard team. Like, they should be relegated because the NFC South is so terrible. But you know what? I would be okay with the Panthers because I do like their story, even if it would make my job more difficult on Sunday to go into a locker room losing their second straight game, especially because I think if they lose, it's going to be because the Panthers run game runs all over them and they turn over the ball a lot on offense and can't get things going. And that's, not fun for me, but I like the Panthers story. I like Steve Wilkes. So we'll see how this one goes.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN, joining us as she does each week. All right, Brooke, 5-8 for the Steelers. The standard is the standard. And with Mike Tomlin, that means never having a losing record. 4 games left. Technically needs to win all of them to finish above 500. There could be a tie in there, of course. It's not a murderer's row of games. However, Mike Tomlin is still working with the handicap that is Matt Canada calling the plays, and now it's Mitch Trubisky playing quarterback, so it's a double handicap. What are the odds that Mike Tomlin's standard remains the standard?
I mean, look, it's not a given that Mitch Trubisky starts on Sunday. Kenny Pickett is in the protocol.
Mm-hmm.
He went through individuals on Wednesday. He was listed as limited. I believe he.
Oh no! Don't say the other guy's going to start the game.
Listen, I would not rule out Kenny Pickett starting.
Right.
I also would not rule out that guy Mason Rudolph starting.
Oh, there
native.
It is. So the standard is gone.
Listen.
And the Steelers are in tank mode.
The standard is a first-round pick. That's what it is now.
It's December. Why would you turn to anyone but Rudolph? Guys, he's proven in December.
I see what you did there, Brooke.
You're welcome. No, but look, because Mitch threw those 3 interceptions, I think that left the door open for Mason Rudolph. And I know the narrative around Rudolph, but he also hasn't gotten a chance to
play in any of those reindeer games.
Well, there is, yes, you're correct. But look, he had a good camp. And I know
always important.
His reindeer games in the preseason were great. Look, I would like to see him get another shot because I think he's better than the narrative around him is. I think that he's just gotten the short end of the stick over and over and over again. He got drafted into a really difficult situation with a quarterback that was not ready to help anybody learn under him, that wasn't ready to let go. When he gets thrown in there, the quarterback has, season-ending elbow injury and surgery. It's chaos. He doesn't have a quarterback's coach because Ben's quarterback's coach was elevated to the offensive coordinator, and they didn't fill that spot. The next year, they get a quarterback's coach, and he looked pretty good when he came in the last game of the season. And then when the one game that he started last year against the Lions, he found out less than 24 hours before when Ben got COVID. This guy has had a really tough stretch, and I think that if there has been any tangible development or growth, he hasn't been put in a position for the team or for anybody else to see it in a game. So I'd like to see it for him because his future is not in Pittsburgh, right? His contract is over after this season. He's playing for a next job. I'd like to see him at least be set up to do that somewhere.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN, covers the Steelers, joining us here.
Such a much nicer person than I will ever be.
Well, you don't have
I'm trying to balance you guys out.
Plus, you don't have to go in the Pittsburgh locker room, so you got that as well. All right, so Brooke Pryor joining us. You can catch her on Get Up tomorrow on ESPN tomorrow morning. When you do show up on ESPN, are you going to brag about how you've handled the cold weather in this interview outside in rainy conditions better than the Dolphins are going to handle the snowy conditions in Buffalo?
Probably, yes, I will, because here's the other thing. Last week, I said, I think Tua's going to get right. Like, that game against the 49ers, that was an anomaly. You know, the 49ers have a good defense, but it wasn't necessarily what their defense was doing to Tua. He just looked off. He just wasn't having a good game. We all have those. And then he had another one of those. And the Chargers defense is not the 49ers defense. And if you have heaters on the sideline in LA when it's 55 degrees, I am concerned about you in a dome. I am concerned about you going to Buffalo in a literal snowstorm. Your AC can't crank down to 32 degrees. They didn't bring a snowblower in. Like, I am worried, and I thought that this team could overcome that. But you know, there's also the point. Tyreek Hill's ankle is not good, and someone on our show this morning talked about how when he's running on that ground in Buffalo, that's going to hurt. There is no give. That ground is going to be solid.
There's no give to that.
So I don't know that the cold weather is something that the Dolphins can overcome.
Look, everybody's making a big deal about, you know, these guys from Miami needing a heater in 55-degree weather. Look, a young Joey back in his high school days would wear flannel, the heaviest LL Bean flannel you could find, in 65-degree weather in South Florida. So that's how we roll in South Florida.
And that's concerning because when I was in middle school and high school, my MO was to wear Nike shorts and Uggs when it was 40 degrees and below outside. So what I'm saying is that maybe I'm built to be the Dolphins quarterback on Sunday. Maybe
you are. Maybe, as you say, you grow up two one of two ways. If you're a guy, it's either you're a shorts and hoodie guy, or it's 65 degrees and you're looking like you've been living in Seattle for 20 years. So, and that was me. And that was me growing up in South Florida as I was in my feelings listening to Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden and all that stuff. Gilio over here, Mr. Jersey, is probably rocking shorts and a hoodie like it's nothing. Right?
No. I've been gone far too long.
Well, now
you have to layer. You have to layer.
Now you've got a nice sweater. I see.
Yeah, thank you.
It was our holiday
party.
Holiday office party today.
Very festive.
My sweater lights up. My sweater actually lights up. Brooke Pryor joining us here on the OG. ESPN covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Speaking of things, are they right or are they not right? We've covered the Dolphins. What about the Cowboys? Exactly. They screwed around and almost found out last week.
Yeah, they did.
And I know the conversation this week on ESPN, and I'm sure your producers have already told you, it's going to be what's holding the Cowboys back. And I'm sure this will lead into a conversation about Dak Prescott and whether or not he's the reason. So that's where we are with the Cowboys right now. We're back on that Dak discourse.
We are. Sorry, I got an awkward angle because I'm trying to manage an umbrella in the wind. I'm not built for the elements. Maybe I am Tua. Dak is. Here's the thing. I'm not going to say that Dak is the problem, because Dak's a good quarterback. Do I think he's a top 10 quarterback? No, but I think that he is an above average quarterback that this team can win with. I still look at the play calling. I need him to stop forcing the ball. I don't think that it's a skill issue. I think it's a mentality. And I think that the Cowboys and Kellen Moore still have this mentality of Dak Prescott is our Superman, so we're going to make him do everything, which was exactly what I was afraid was going to happen when they went back from Cooper Rush to Dak Prescott. You would think that they would have learned something in that time of, we can actually, there's a system around this guy. We can lean in our run game because our run game is really good. And the quarterback doesn't have to do everything. And I just feel like they haven't learned that lesson, that they're going back to their old habits. But Dak has to clean up the interceptions, because if we're going to criticize Josh Allen for his decision-making and his interceptions, I think that Dak Prescott deserves the same scrutiny.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN, joining us here on the Heaster Automotive Group Hotline. That's Joe Ovius. I'm Joe Gilio. All right, help me out here, Brooke. Jim Irsay was ready to lead the tribal council to oust Dan Snyder And now he seems to be backpedaling a little bit. What seems to be the trepidation on the owners and what they need to do to get rid of Dan Snyder?
I wish I knew. I think that this is going to play out. I think it was Albert Breer that said that there's the possibility that at the end of this, Dan Snyder goes through the motions of selling the team and just ends up keeping it, which is a nightmare. It's a true nightmare. When you have the government of the United States, whatever your political beliefs are, when the government is involving themselves in saying like, hey, your workplace is really messed up. You have caused a lot of problems, from covering up and fostering an environment of sexual harassment to the money issues to taking money from, owners and fans and all of the problems that they have. Dan Snyder should not be in charge of this football team. Like, that's plain as day. But I don't think this is a matter of like Jim Irsay being afraid that Dan Snyder has dirt on him or is going to leak or anything like that. I think that maybe he and the other owners know that it's just going to be a long process and they don't want to get involved right now. I don't know what it is, but like Irsay also, I mean, he's got his own situation brewing in Indy because he clearly wants Jeff Saturday to be the head coach, not just interim, but the head coach. And man, there's a thing called the Rooney Rule, where the job has to be truly vacant and you have to seriously interview and consider minority candidates. You can't just give it to your friend. No matter what record he puts together. I like Jeff a lot, but I don't know that he has proven that he is far and away the best candidate to be the next head coach. And so I think maybe Jim Irsay's like, I'd really love to cast some stones here, but I got my own glass house and things are not in order. So I'm maybe gonna rein that one back in.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN. Watch her on Get Up tomorrow. We appreciate you weathering whatever it is going on. Is that just another day in Pittsburgh, a day that ends in Y?
It is. There's a winter system that has moved east of us. So we missed the snow, but apparently east of us, there's like 8.5 inches or something. So one of the security guys was telling me, it's cold. Your girl does not have gloves. My hands are, or a hat. Do you see this hair? It looks too good to be hidden under a hat. So I just prefer to dance with frostbite. I like adversity, like I said.
I'm going to get you a nice Carolina blue winter hat. How about that? For all of your service this football season.
I would love nothing more. More.
We'll put an OG logo on it that says Happy Thursday. All right, Brooke, we will talk to you later.